The infiltration of apparent non-conservatives into the Progressive Conservative Party of Ontario continues unabated. Indeed, what other conclusion can one draw regarding the curious case of Goldie Gamari, the PC candidate for the new riding of Carleton? In the case of Gamari, her resume would suggest that she is anything but a conservative. For example, she has publicly stated on numerous occasions that she's a Liberal supporter and even a social justice advocate. Yet somehow she's the candidate of choice in Carleton? Consider these ominous facts about Gamari regarding her conservative credentials. For example, during the 2011 federal election campaign, Gamari publicly attacked then Conservative Prime Minister Stephen Harper. Check out this statement directed at the former PM. Quote, "Shame on you and your smear campaign propaganda. You're an embarrassment to all Canadians," end quote. In fact, Gamari was apparently a frequent commentator on a Stop Harper website, and she was full of admiration for Michael Ignatieff, the then leader of the Liberal Party, stated Gamari in one gushing post regarding the visiting professor, quote, "You are too educated and well-mannered for the Canadian population. Thank you for running a clean, smear-free campaign," end quote. Yes, folks, anyone who voted Conservative in 2011 was apparently too stupid or too ungrateful to realize what a gem we had in the persona of Mr. Ignatieff, who has since fled Canadian soil. Closer to Ontario PC land, Gamari has also publicly attacked MPP Lisa MacLeod. It would seem odd to allow this to occur when the PC party has often stated it is committed to a fair and unbiased nomination process. However, astute observers of nomination meetings over the last several months know full well that fiascos and even fraudulent activity, i.e. ballot box stuffing, is par for the course when it comes to Patrick Brown's preferred roster of candidates. The fact that Gamari used to swing left of center, or perhaps still does, is indisputable based on her resume and public pronouncements. But there's another side to Gamari, and it is downright disturbing. You see, until recently, Gamari apparently operated in social media circles under the alias of the Persian Cat. And while most of the posts attributed to the Persian Cat have been deleted, well, the internet is forever, and screen grabs prove that Gamari and the Persian Cat are one and the same. You see, the blog post username is listed as Goldie, and while that might not be sufficient evidence to tie the latest PC candidate to the blog, Gamari also used her real name on event postings, but her email shows the Persian Cat at hotmail.com. I reached out to Gamari to get her take and asked if the Persian Cat was indeed her alias. After repeated requests, she would neither confirm nor deny. So what did those posts actually say? Well, Gamari, who was born in Iran, doesn't seem to have a very tolerant view of Christianity. Check out this post under that alias of the Persian Cat. Quote, "Jesus was just another human like you and me. He died and became worm food. So get over it and stop advertising your religion. It's gay," end quote. Wow, Jesus is worm food? Christianity is gay? Golly, I wonder what the political fallout would be if one were to replace Jesus with Muhammad and Christianity with Islam. And would the PC party still be going to bat for Miss Gamari in such a scenario? Then we have more hilarity, such as the head of the Persian Cat photoshopped onto the image of a militant, complete with shoulder-mounted rocket launcher. The only English word is bitch. The rest of the copy is in Farsi. And how about this knee slapper? It's that lovable Persian Cat again, standing outside a commercial jetliner and apparently waving goodbye to the passengers inside the plane. What the hell? There is regrettably so much more. Yet, what does the aspiring MPP for Carleton have to say about her previous conservative bashing statements and all of these bizarre social media posts? Well, as I already told you, I reached out to Ms. Gamari with just two basic questions. Is she indeed the author of this content? And is she, or has she ever been, someone who operated under the alias of the Persian Cat? Here is her cryptic response verbatim. Quote, "I have ignored and will continue to ignore these vile, defamatory, sexist, and unbelievably racist false allegations that were brought to my attention last year. They are beyond the pale and not worth a moment of my time, end quote. But that statement is merely an assessment of the content, and for what it's worth, I agree with Gameri that much of it is indeed vile, defamatory, sexist, and racist, but she does not deny authorship of these posts. And again, after being repeatedly asked, she will neither confirm nor deny if she operated under the alias of the Persian cat. How odd is that? Even goofier, she would only agree to a telephone interview if it was conducted off the record, something that would be useless for our purposes at this stage. And what of the PC Party of Ontario? I reached out on several occasions to Bob Stanley, the executive director. I wanted to know if the party is aware of Gameri's background, and if so, why is she still the party's candidate of choice? None of my phone calls or emails have been returned. But assuming the PC Party is indeed aware of Gameri's background, there seems to be a double standard at play here. The party previously vetted and prevented a candidate from running for his so-called intolerant comments. Why isn't this same party, or why isn't the party brass doing anything about this particular candidate regarding her questionable and intolerant statements? Senior Conservatives I spoke to are appalled that Gameri is representing the riding. For example, former Conservative Canadian Senator Marjorie Le Breton, who lives in Gameri's riding, says given Gameri's history, she won't be voting for her in the next provincial election. Other Conservatives I spoke to contend that Carleton is a winnable riding for the PCs, assuming the right candidate is in place. But Gameri is the wrong candidate, even in light of the plunging popularity of the Liberals and Premier Kathleen Wynne. But then again, given the results of the last 3 provincial elections involving John Tory, Tim Hudak, and Tim Hudak 2.0, the unofficial slogan of the PC Party would seem to be snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. One can only ponder if the losing streak will continue next year, especially when the party inexplicably goes to bat for such a questionable candidate. In the meantime, Miss Gameri, if you are in fact the Persian cat, you better start explaining yourself. And if you're not the Persian cat, kindly show us how our whistleblowers got things so wrong. Felines aside, I've got a hunch the good people of Carleton are smelling a big Persian rat right now. For the Rebel.media, I'm David the Menzoid Menzies. Like what you just saw, then click subscribe below and never miss another Rebel video.